propriety, prudence, or constitutionality or legality of the process that have preceded the submission of the matter to the Senate. In the meantime, and during the pendence of this impeachment process in the Senate, I wish to caution honorable senators to desist from publicly commenting on the merits or demerits of the impeachment motion. Doing so will amount to anticipation of debate, which is an infringement of Standing Order 99 of the Senate Standing Orders. Honorable senators, to make it clear, it shall constitute gross disorderly conduct within the meaning of Standing Order 122 for a senator to make comments, whether written or spoken, in relation to the conduct of the Deputy President or the impeachment process, which is outside the confines of the impeachment proceedings, as such comments may prejudice the just outcome of this matter. As I conclude, I urge all honorable senators to stay true to the oath of office and exercise the highest level of responsibility on this particular matter. I thank you. Now, honorable senators, a supplementary order paper has been circulated. I believe it's been posted to your gadgets. You may now abandon the order paper that we have been using earlier on and switch to the new order paper. Clerk, you may now proceed to call the next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to give notice of the following motion, which is the establishment of a special committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by way of impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. That whereas pursuant to Article 151B and 2 and Article 145 of the Constitution and the National Assembly Standing Orders number 64 and 65, on the 8th of October 2024, the National Assembly approved a special motion for the removal from office by impeachment of H.E. Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas by letter reference NADLP TBO MTS 2024-025, dated 8th of October 2024 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024. The Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Article 145(3)(b) of the Constitution, as read together with Article 152 of the Constitution and Standing Orders 78(1) and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate may by resolution appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, pursuant to Article 145(3)(b), the Constitution as read together with Article 152 of the Constitution and the Standing Orders of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate resolves to constitute a special committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of H.E. Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, establishment of a special committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion on I beg to move the following motion: the establishment of a special committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of H.E. Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. That whereas pursuant to Article 151B and 2, Article 145 of the Constitution and the National Assembly Standing Orders 64 and 65, on 8th of October 2024, the National Assembly approved a special motion for the removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas by letter reference NADLP/TBO/MTS 2024-025, dated 8th of October 2024, received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Article 145(3)(b) of the Constitution, as read together with Article 152 of the Constitution and Standing Order 78(1) and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate may, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising of 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, pursuant to Article 145(3)(b) of the Constitution, as read together with Article 152 of the Constitution and Standing Order 78(1) of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate resolves to constitute a special committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this is uncharted territory. For the first time, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is being invited to conduct an impeachment hearing of a Deputy President. Much as this is constitutional, Mr. Speaker, it's the first time that this is happening. And there is a proposal before us as a House, as per our standing orders, to either consider this matter. We have two options as per our standing orders, to either consider this matter by a special committee or the plenary. The motion before us, Mr. Speaker, is a proposal to the House that we select 11 of our members from both sides of the House to consider this impeachment and advise us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what is the excitement in the House. I have said already that this has never happened before, but that's the proposal, that should we, and I want to urge members to agree with me, that we elect 11 of our wisest and most trusted senators, Mr. Speaker, who we think have the sufficient wisdom to read on our behalf, make a decision, and as you know, as per our standing orders, Mr. Speaker, should they elect that the matters have not been substantiated, the matter dies, and there is no recourse for the House. However, should they confirm any of the 11 charges, even one, Mr. Speaker, then they will invite the rest of us to join them in making a decision. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, this is not a matter that I want to speak long to, because there's more serious matters that lay ahead with regards to this particular motion, Mr. Speaker. With those very many remarks, I want to invite the Senator for Nairobi, Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna, to second this motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As you have indicated in your communication, indeed this is a matter that is extremely unique, that has elicited immense public attention, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, given the mood of the House and especially on the minority side, I respectfully decline to second that motion.
Now, Senator Oburu. Order, honorable senators. You will note that is not seconded shall be deemed to have been withdrawn and shall not be moved again in the same session unless with the permission of the Speaker. Honorable senators, as I communicated earlier today during the sitting, by way of a message on the resolution of the National Assembly, Article 145(3)(b) of the Constitution as read together with Article 78(1) provides that the Senate, by resolution, may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. The motion having been deemed to be withdrawn, pursuant to Standing Order 71, the proposal for a special committee is defeated. The Senate will therefore proceed with the investigation of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, in plenary. Honorable Senators, in line with the schedule of activities for an impeachment hearing in plenary, I hereby give the following directions. A, the clerk to issue invitations to appear to the Deputy President today, Wednesday, the 9th of October, 2024. B, the clerk to issue invitations to appear to the National Assembly today, Wednesday, the 9th of October, 2024. The parties to file their responses with the office of the clerk of the Senate by Monday, the 14th of October, 2024, by 5 p.m. D, the clerk to circulate documents received from the parties, including the plenary hearing program, to all honorable senators upon receipt on Monday, 14th of October, 2024. And the Senate shall then investigate the matter in plenary on Wednesday, the 16th, and Thursday, the 17th of October, 2024. The Senate is accordingly guided. Thank you. Any clarification, Senator Fernandi?
Mr. Speaker, looking at the directions that we are given, I want to agree with the Senate Majority Leader that this matter is very unique. It is uncharted territory. We are so used to impeachment of governors as we have done before. Mr. Speaker, when you look at our Standing Order 78 on Senate standing orders, and also, Mr. Speaker, I needed your guidance and clarity on the process, because looking at Standing Order 78 on the removal procedure for removal from state office, which includes the removal of the president, deputy president, or state office. Mr. Speaker, I want to invite Mr. Speaker to request, when you read under, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I'm trying to get second schedule of our standing orders, Part 1, rules of procedure when considering removal in plenary, either the president or the deputy president. When you look at rule number 12, subject to these rules, the hearing of the evidence, once it commences, shall proceed and continue on until the Senate concludes the hearing of the matter. So, Speaker, this extrapolates itself from Article 145, 150 in the removal of either the president or the deputy president, considering this a matter of national interest, and it will involve a lot of process, evidence producing, and many other procedures. So, Speaker, considering the immense, would it be in order to request that, as per your direction, you increase even an extra day? You know, Mr. Speaker, they say justice should not be seen, should not only be seen, but to be seen to be done. Oh, okay, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senator.
Mr.
Order.
Speaker, I'm happy.
Let the Senator Fernandi say it the way he understands it.
Yes.
Proceed.
And Mr. Speaker, I am directly translating from my Kalenjin mind, so members will have to bear with. Mr. Speaker, justice should not only be done, but should be seen to be done, Mr. Speaker. You know, we went to group of schools, some of us. Mr. Speaker, the point I wanted to make is that since the plenary process will allow Kenyans to follow, would it be in order whether we convict or acquit? Because the law house, which was pre-trial chamber, and this is the real trial chamber, Mr. Speaker, where we shall be looking and setting precedent for future impeachment. I'm not predicting that there will be impeachment of president or deputy presidents in future, but Mr. Speaker, the point I wanted to make, and I don't know why Senator Sifuna is irritated. You'll have your time. Why are you worried? Mr. Speaker, that is what I want to conclude by saying, Mr. Speaker, just add an extra day so that the accusers, which is the National Assembly, can have elaborate time to present their case, and also the deputy president can have the time to present their case. So that, Mr. Speaker, when they move to another fora, they will have opportunity of having the opportunity of being given a chance and the principles of natural justice. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that indulgence, and I will properly be guided. Thank you.
Senator Fernandi, as we sit here, we don't know the number of witnesses that will be called. We don't know the volumes of documentation that will be filed. And therefore, let us go by the 2 days that I've communicated. One thing that the Senate will do, it is going to give adequate time to both parties. That's the much we are going to do as a Senate. No party will leave the Senate complaining about inadequacy of time to plead their case. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And we conform to the directions that you've given and the communications that you have also given. And I actually agree to the wisdom of the Senator from Nairobi, that this is a matter of serious public interest. And the matter that is before us is so weighty, it cannot be left to the hands of 11 people. We need to hear it in plenary. And I also want to plead, based on two arguments, Honorable Speaker, looking at the communication that you've read, the number of grounds that have been set that are founded in this motion, Honorable Speaker, of impeachment. There are 11 grounds, Honorable Speaker, and in the experience that we have had as a House, I think this will be the highest number of grounds that we have ever looked at in as far as processing a motion of impeachment is concerned. That is my first concern. Number two, when we last dealt with the last impeachment of Governor from Meru, the reason why we were rushing against time and we didn't allow members to debate and give their input. And I would not want us to get ourselves in that kind of a situation. That members want to give their contribution, they want to convince the others, because the reason why we have to debate on this motion is that I can convince the other members that I think the Deputy President should be removed or should not be removed. And we didn't get that opportunity during the last sitting. Why? Because the dates that had been gazetted for that particular removal were lapsing that particular day, and we had to vote. We had to start voting before 12. So if we get ourselves in the situation that you said that we are processing this motion on Wednesday and Thursday, and it is Thursday, we are almost done with the proceedings at Thursday, 11:30. Then we don't have time to debate. It is upon this reason why then, even if we leave the 2 days that you have communicated, then we need to leave it open that if we find ourselves that we are just done with witnesses, both the accusers and the ones that are being accused, the defense team, Honorable Speaker, if you're not able to debate, then we can come the next day, debate and take a vote. We should not then hurry this process as we hurried the last process, and it's not that we hurried it because we wanted. Many members wanted to contribute. It is the reason why the voting was very acrimonious. That's what. Thank you very much, Daktari, for that. Nyandaro is far, and we have small challenges. So, it was very acrimonious here. You saw many members here, and it was not very neat. I would not want us to. I would not want to find us in such a situation. I wish you would allow that even if we get to Thursday, and you have not gotten to debating, you can allow us to come on Friday, debate and vote.
Yes, Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just two things. One is on the matter of your communication about how then we conduct ourselves from today going forward. Mr. Speaker, you have given direction. These phones. You have given direction, Mr. Speaker, that members should restrain themselves from making public utterances, especially on the substance of this impeachment, which is a good direction, Mr. Speaker, because we are going into a long weekend and we're engaging with our constituents. The temptation to prosecute this matter even before it comes here is very high. So that caution is good, Mr. Speaker. Only that, Mr. Speaker, I will hasten to add that listening to the public wherever I go, and I don't go to a lot of places, Mr. Speaker, the whole world, the whole country is looking up to the Senate for justice to be seen to be done. In fact, there wasn't so much attention on the proceedings in the National Assembly. A lot of people saying, let's wait for this matter to go to the Senate. Mr. Speaker, this is a time that then the Senate of the Republic of Kenya must demonstrate real leadership. And the prayers that were being made by Senator Cheragay and Senator Medhu sit very well. That, Mr. Speaker, the assurance you have given that both parties will have sufficient time to prosecute their cases and to do what they have to do. Mr. Speaker, let that assurance also go out that the judges sitting on this matter will also have sufficient time to reason, to caucus. Mr. Speaker, and when there is need for even members to take time off, 30, 40 minutes, to caucus and steer this thing properly. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't have, I would really hate to see a situation where we end up the way we did with the Kawira case, the Governor Kawira case, where the last minute of voting is so chaotic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one other thing that you may also need to...
Senator Kadure, just let him conclude so that I just give directions on this matter. Let us not prolong this debate.
Mr. Speaker, let me just conclude by saying the other thing that you may also guide us now and into the debate is try and teach us on the issue of patience. People should patiently listen to others.
Just conclude.
And especially when I express an opinion that is not in line with your opinion.
What is your point of order, Senator?
Oh, my goodness.
You're really insisting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, you know, if members will go that direction of Kawira Mwangaza case, Mr. Speaker, this case is in court. And what they're implying is that what was processed here was not right. Did you like so it is not it is not standing very well, Mr. Speaker, sir, because this matter has not been determined in the court. And one of the issues that has been raised by the parties is that some of the members did not vote. There was no time for discussion and all those matters, Mr. Speaker. So I think it will not be fair to the Meru County community if we discuss this matter now, because it is an issue which is in court, Mr. Speaker.
Good. Honorable Senators, we shall conclude. No, it's me to conclude, Senator Wambua. Now, this is my direction, and it's very much what I've already directed. Honorable Wambua, which floor I have taken away from you? So, Senator Wambua, you're out of order and leave the chamber now for the rest of the day. Leave the chamber. We need to be orderly in this matter. We're going to handle a very heavy matter. We cannot have any senator heckling the speaker. As we go to this impeachment, you need to behave, Senator Wambua. Leave the chamber now for the rest of the sitting. Leave the chamber. Leave the chamber. Leave the chamber, Senator Wambua. Honorable Senators, the chapter we are just about to open, the process we are just about to undertake is extremely heavy. The country and the world is watching. Decorum is the least we'll be expecting from members. Senator Fernandi has raised a valid concern. Upon reading these charges, we have 10 days to conclude this process. I have directed that this matter be heard within 2 days. We have not seen the kind of documentation that is going to be filed. We have not seen the number of witnesses that are going to be called by each party. Once we see the documentation and the list of witnesses, and it becomes obvious that we cannot conclude this matter within 2 days, we have Friday. And therefore, let us cross the bridge when we get there. But one thing I want to assure the country is the Senate is going to do justice in this matter. All the parties are going to be given a fair, they're going to have their day in the Senate. There will be zero complaints after the conclusion of this matter. Let's resist there, Honorable Senator. Next order.
Order number 9, procedural motion to hold sittings on Monday, 14th October 24, and alter the hours of meeting on Tuesday, 15th October 2024.
Majority Leader. Let's make progress, Senator Fatuma Dulu.
Mr. Speaker,
Let's make progress.
I beg to move the motion, which is for the Senate to hold sittings on Monday, the 14th of October 2024, and to alter the hours of meeting on Tuesday, 15th of October 2024. That notwithstanding the resolution of the Senate made pursuant to Standing Order number 32 of October of February, Order number 32 on 15th of February 2024, and 26th of June 2024, 19th of August 2024, and 17th of September 2024, and the approval of the Senate calendar, regular sessions for the third session 2024. The Senate resolves: 1, pursuant to Standing Order number 34-4C,
Majority Leader.
Thank you.
May the Majority Leader be heard in silence.
Pursuant to Standing Order number 34-4C, to hold its sittings on Monday, the 14th of October 2024, starting at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until the conclusion of business listed in the order paper of the day. 2, pursuant to Standing Order number 34-4B, to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, the 15th of October 2024, starting at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And 3, pursuant to Standing Order number 34-4A, extend its sitting time on Tuesday, 15th October 2024, afternoon sitting until the conclusion of the business listed in the order paper of the day, in order to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Dr. Eric Kipkoech Mutai, the Governor of Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a procedural motion. And we have pointed out that for lack of flair in drafting both the special notice a special motion such as this and the order gathered notice, Mr. Speaker, we found ourselves with the challenge which many of our colleagues are actually discussing right now, where they felt that in handling of an impeachment procedure, we had too much to do within such a short time. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, if you see the way the motion has been drafted, it is until the business listed on the order paper is concluded on that day. So it's not unusual, Mr. Speaker, that we leave this house on certain days at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Has happened many times before, Mr. Speaker, because impeachments have got serious consequences. And impeachments, Mr. Speaker, are almost the last resort in a dispute resolution, Mr. Speaker, between the parties that are before each of us. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge senators, given if they approve this timetable, next week will be quite a heavy week for senators. On Monday and Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, we have this impeachment. You have just given direction, Mr. Speaker, that on Wednesday and Thursday as well, we have the impeachment motion or process of the deputy.
We are traders. It's in our DNA. It's more than a feeling, it's a calling. To make bold decisions when everything is on the line. Born to thrive in chaos, to battle in the world's greatest arena, the markets. Born to stand tall while others scramble, to make the right move at the right time, and to know that no matter what happens, our money is ours. We were born for this. Exness, born to trade.
Senator Okongo, my neighbor from Nyamira County, to second. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Okongo Mugen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to second the motion by Majority Leader and the Senator of Kericho, my neighbor, and the Senate is on the spotlight. This is the time we need to demonstrate to the country that we are fair. We can discharge our functions impartially without fear and favor. And I second the motion, Mr. Speaker.
I propose the question that, notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate, made pursuant to Standing Order 32, February 2024, 26th June 2024, 19th August, 19th September 2024, on the approval of the Senate calendar, regular sessions 2024, the Senate resolves: 1, pursuant to Standing Order 4C, to hold sittings on Monday, 14th October 2024, starting to 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until conclusion of business on the paper of the day. 2, pursuant to Standing Order, to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 15th October 2024, starting at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3. Standing Order that 4A to extend the sitting time on Tuesday, 15th October 2024, afternoon sitting. Business listed in the order paper of the day in order to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Gachagua'S Mutai, the governor of Kericho County. Honorable Senators, I can see a few senators lined up here on my screen. So is that the mood of the House? Yes. Now let me hear the wisdom of Senator Sigei Wakiri.
Speaker, you may proceed to put the question.
Senator Andan Dulo Fatuma. Senator Nerito John Kenywa. Majority will not teach me how to
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, mimi nasumbuka kwa sababu tayari tumejitia katika kitanzi, kwa sababu tayari tutakuwa tumezitenga ndio tuweze kujadili mswada huu. Bwana Spika, ni vile vile tukijipata katika kutakuwa na masuala mengine nyeti. Bwana Spika, naona tutajipata katika tu ile sehemu ya kwamba hatuna muda wa kutosha kuyaangazia yale masuala. Tuwezi tukasema tutaenda siku ile nyingine ambayo ni siku ya Wednesday, kwa sababu tayari tumeweka kwa shughuli nyingine tofauti. So, kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, ninasema kuendelea mbele Bwana Spika, pengine tungekuwa muda zaidi, lakini naunga mkono Bwana Spika.
Kwa hoja hii Senator Kenywa, kwa hoja hii tuko nayo iko wazi kabisa ya kwamba tarehe 15 afternoon sitting tutakaa mpaka tumalize biashara, business the day. So that is why the majority didn't and advised Senator Ndokech to preserve more energy over the weekend, so that 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning until we clear the business, that will be written on the not specific on the day. It is until the business on the paper is concluded. So it is midnight on Tuesday. It is until we clear the business. So I think you can also familiarize yourself with the or even when the question is put. Honorable Senators, I put the question that notwithstanding the dissolutions of the Senate made pursuant to Standing Order that 19th February 2024, 26th June 2024, 19th August 2024, and 17th September 2024 of the Senate calendar regular sessions for the third session 2024, the Senate resolves one pursuant to to hold sittings on Monday, 14th October 2024, starting at 9 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until conclusion of business listed in the order paper of the day. Standing order that 44B to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 15th October 2024, starting at 1 p.m. and 3, pursuant to standing order that 44A to extend its 15th October 2024 afternoon sitting until conclusion of business listed in the order in order to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Dr. Eric, the Governor of Kericho County. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next one.
Order number 10 of the 9th Interparliamentary Union Global Conference of Young Parliamentarians held in Hanoi 15th to 17th September 2023.
Senator Mevdu will move this motion, but I cannot see him around. So this motion is deferred until next time that will be allocated. Next order.
Order number 11. Reports of the Kenya delegation to the 147th and 148th and related meetings held in Luanda, Angola from 23rd to 27th October 2023, Switzerland from 23rd to 27th March 2024, respectively.
Senator Catherine Muma.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. I will move the motion on the reports of the Kenya delegation to the and 148th assemblies of the International Parliamentary Union, IPU, that were held in Luanda, Angola from 23rd to 27th October 2020 and in Geneva, Switzerland from 23rd to 27th March 2024. The reports of the Kenya delegation to the 147th and 148th assemblies of the and related meetings in Luanda and the one in Geneva. Senators, Honorable Speaker, just key to note that is represented in 5 committees by different members, who is in the Committee to Promote Respect for International Humanitarian, Honorable Naisula Lesuda, member of the Committee on Sustainable Development, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, who is the President of the Committee on the Human Rights for Parliamentarians, Honorable Rebecca Tonkei, who is a member of the Committee on the United Nations. Honorable Speaker, in the meeting in Luanda, I was appointed to be a member of the working group on security, and the key activity in Luanda was the appointment of Honorable Speaker Ackson Tulia from Tanzania as the first woman president. And the Kenya delegation participated actively in the campaign to ensure that that's Africa. Honorable Speaker, in the Geneva meeting, one of the key issues that was in the working group on science and technology was the preparation by IPU on the ethics of science and technology, so that parliamentarians can now in policies relating to matters science and technology, especially ethics of things like artificial intelligence. And Mr. Speaker, as we are speaking, the meeting will begin in Geneva this week. Unfortunately, we will not be able to attend because of the impeachment program that we have, but the charter developed by this working group will be the things that is being recommended, Mr. Speaker, is parliaments around the world to start forming committees on science and technology, that the scientists and parliamentarians can have conversation so that parliament can give guidance in terms of can also engage with them so that we don't have science going rogue that is going to harm. Mr. Speaker, I support. I submit. I lay the reports.
Senator Muma, you say you beg to move a second.
Apologies, Mr. Speaker. Senator Omogeni to second. Thank you.
Just pronounce yourself that you beg to move him, to request him to second. Okay.
I beg to move and ask second.
Senator Wongo Mgeni.
Yes.
And members, gadgets, so you can just check and get something to speak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the report on the 147th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union meeting that was held in Rwanda, Angola, that has been tabled by Senator Catherine Muma. Mr. Speaker, we live in a community of nations, and this is very important among parliaments. It does a very good work, Mr. Speaker. In Ireland, Mr. Speaker, we need to measure what we are doing with what our brothers neighboring countries, Mr. Speaker, and we hope, Mr. Speaker, as we send our members of parliament to these committees, we can deal with some of the serious issues that are affecting countries, especially, Mr. Speaker, issues of to serve in EACC. Countries who are, Mr. Speaker, how you can ensure that money that is being moved from one is discouraged by nations. I was seeing a debate, Mr. Speaker, on a TV station this morning, and the senator for Kisii was governors who have bought 8 flats in a country in Europe, Spain, and he was appealing to the ethics to ensure that issues dealing with corruption are dealt with decisively, and the money that is sent to our counties is used for the benefit of the people who reside in counties. Issues dealing with climate change. You can see the kind of floods that we are seeing in the US, Mr. Speaker. We need to, as a country, Mr. Speaker, we need not only to take care of our country called Kenya, Mr. Speaker, we need to also borrow from what we are seeing happening in other nations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are exposing ourselves to risk. Issues like the threats from terrorism. Because of terrorism, Mr. Speaker, you cannot even access, you can't enter because of what terrorism has done, tolerance among various faiths. In this House, Mr. Speaker, when I look at Senator Faki, brother, I don't look at him as a Muslim, and I'm sure he also looks at me as a. We need to encourage people in the human race to live as brothers. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I second this motion. A country that can preach peace. Nobody is happy with what is happening in the Middle East. We are not happy with the escalation of war in the Middle East. When there is war in the Middle East, the effects affect countries. I hope that the UN, the United Nations, can push for a peaceful resolution we are seeing in the Middle East, Mr. Speaker, so that Palestinians, Israel, the people in Syria, and all those countries, Mr. Speaker, we want to see them live in peace. When I was a young child, I used to hear about Palestinian Liberation Organization led by Yasser Arafat. becoming a senior citizen, the disputes in the Middle East are still ongoing. The wars that we used to, you still keep on hearing about war in Angola, Mr. Speaker, the war in Chad, the universe, having countries that can live in peace, where we are brothers and sisters who can cross from one border to the other, like what's happening within the European nation, from one country in Europe to the other. I wish that can extend to the whole world, Mr. Speaker. I don't need to queue embassy, seeking for a visa, reporting that 6 a.m., pay a whooping, I think close to get my visa to travel to the US. We need to accept that the human race, we are as one person in the Garden of Eden, and that is the spirit that we should see world over. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Honourable Senator, can wait a bit? I'll give you close the door. Honourable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate notes the reports of the Kenyan 7th and 148th Assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings from 23rd to 27th October 2023, and on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 29th February 2020, and Geneva, Switzerland, from 23rd to 27th March 2024, on Thursday, 30th May 2024. I'm now inviting senators to contribute to this very on interparliamentary union. Senator Mugatana actually contributes on these international issues so much, but where his mind is, I think I'm being distracted by the senator. Because this is similar to what you do.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
In the African Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to debate the report of the Interparliamentary Union that was held in Angola, Luanda, Angola, from 23rd to 27th October. Mr. Speaker, as you have talked about a very big role that Parliament will play in terms of cooperation, coordination, ensuring that the representatives of the people around the world discuss issues that are relevant. Mr. Speaker, on this meeting in Luanda, a lot of things were discussed. But I would like to dwell on the issue that and global food security. Mr. Speaker, there are, and it was recognized by the parliaments that were seated in Luanda, Angola, that many parliaments are affected by the problems of food. Mr. Speaker, there are lots of problems. The world is itself, and there are people who are living in areas that are frequently heat-related disasters. And Mr. Speaker, during this meeting in Luanda, a focus on what was happening in the El Nino time at that time. And there was a relation in these discussions about that had increased, and at that talking also about the cycles of the droughts and the El Nino phenomena that was affecting food production and jeopardizing even stability of food supply across the world. These parliaments also discussed the impact of that so many people were not able to access their farms, not able to be engaged usefully so that they can. And Mr. Speaker, apart from the climate issues, the question of the COVID pandemic was discussed. Mr. Speaker, other problems, including on the prices of fertilizers, was also discussed. These challenges were put on those parliaments and discussed, so that Kenya also was part of those discussions that raised the challenges affecting food, including the increase on the price of fertilizers. Mr. Speaker, the general conclusion, members of parliament who went there, who participated in this conference, union meeting, was that there was need for them to come back home. Issue of global food security. There was need for them to come back home, to their governments, that fresh efforts need to be put so that, Mr. Speaker, emphasis on food production, on stability of food supply within, so that each parliament, when they discuss there, they're supposed to come here, also approve these reports, and these reports are taken to the relevant government department. One of the important things that was discussed was the global food security. And Mr. Speaker, was that we need to come back home and tell our governments, and in this particular is to talk about the strategies that the like other governments would new strategies that will ensure food security in their countries. Mr. Speaker, during those discussions in Angola, a total of delegates took to the floor to share their experiences and insights concerning the pressing issues of ensuring a stable food supply for the world's population. Mr. Speaker, concerns from the global north, from the global south, and all these delegates, Mr. Speaker, they were able to their experiences, Mr. Speaker. And I have given the general we had and were explained in this. Every delegate explained what was happening in their home countries, Mr. Speaker, and strategies that could help in terms of ensuring that food is achieved within the continent. There are many strategies that were given. Some of them we are already, our Department of Agriculture in this country is doing what it needs to do to ensure enough food supply for this country. But one of the things that was discussed and that needs to be emphasized here in Kenya is that we need, Mr. Speaker, to involve our youth in production that is production. Mr. Speaker, for a very long time, people used to think that it is unfashionable to go into our children, and even in our generation and the generation that followed, people would aspire to be professionals in various fields, in practice of law, like I did, in medicine, in architecture, and all big professions. Mr. Speaker, as we went on, the other generation that came up, they would aspire to be IT specialists. They would aspire to open companies in that area that was in our time, and maybe go into technology or businesses. But very few people, Mr. Speaker, would aspire to be top agriculture. People would aspire to inherit the lands from their parents and make them productive. Mr. Speaker, in terms of all these resolutions that were passed, I want to emphasize so much to increase our food production. Mr. Speaker, we need to make in Kenya sexy. We need to make it very attractive. We need our young people to start seeing this as an opportunity to add. Instead, Mr. Speaker, of just thinking of opening a kiosk to sell cigarettes, we need to actually tell our young people that agriculture is. If you don't want to do agriculture to produce crops, we need to go forms of agriculture. People are raising chickens, people are raising farm animals, doing all manner of things around the space of agriculture. Mr. Speaker, some of the people who have really made it, people who have been selling eggs, people who have been doing business around wheat farming, people who are doing business around maize growing, people who have been supplying the Kenya Meat Commission, carry out a massive re-education of our minds. Children, that it is good to actually be able to feed yourself. If you tell our children that it is good to go to the farm and they must see us do this, accepted as a fashionable thing to do. Mr. Speaker, I will not be saying enough if I don't mention the fact that TV stations have done an extremely good job. And I want to single out two national TV scene. They take their time, Mr. Speaker, to discuss about programs on agricultural. I'm so impressed that even the presenters, they are young people who are doing. And Mr. Speaker, the prayer is that we will be able to push this idea, that it will be acceptable among children and it be fashionable, so that once they accept these ideas, they will be able to go into agriculture, food production, and hopefully, Mr. Speaker, increase our own production within our own families, within our own villages, within our own wards. Become secure, then the country as a whole will become secure. And this is the message that Parliament to the government of Kenya when we met here. And with those very many remarks, I beg to support. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Senators. There being no other senators wishing to contribute or to reply, Senator Muma.
Thank you. And I would like to thank Honourable Mungatana and Honourable Mogeni to this motion. Honourable Speaker, as we participate conversations with other parliaments around the world, as we attend this meeting, to bring it to the attention of the House that these are spaces that are extremely important. We get to learn what is happening around the world, and we borrow from each other, strengthen international cooperation, particularly cooperation around the Interparliamentary Union is the union of all parliaments of the world. Mr. Speaker, as we have met in the session, very key issues have been discussed, including peace and security, how the different nations can come together to strengthen the rules and regulations that we have in the rules and regulations around matters, food security, rules and regulations around sustainable, rules and regulations on other issues, particularly emerging issues. When I moved the motion, I spoke to the Science and Technology Committee that I'm sitting in, Mr. Speaker, that has been a very educative forum because there are so many things we take for granted, and is actually going to centrally driven by technology, and there, but possibly not planning for it properly. And the parliamentarians do not necessarily have the capacity to be able to know what kind of policy can they support their arms of government. So these sessions enable us to be able to see how to move legislation in these areas. One of the ongoing conversations happening is the matter of internet governance. Honorable Speaker, I don't think moving serious legislation and policy around internet governance. And internet governance is a complex issue that would require that we, knowing that internet actually makes the globe a one center, because we access information not just from your own country, but from other countries. And we need to be able to think complex, can have complex regulations that can ensure that as we use internet, as it enables us fronts, that it will also be able to be a safe space, particularly for those who are vulnerable. We would not know how to do these things unless we deliberately are trained on this. At the Kenya level, any trainings that our own parliament or PSC has put in place on understanding the complex scientific areas that require that we regulate. A meeting, one of the things that came up, one of the resolutions that was moved by the Committee on Democracy was a resolution on orphanage trafficking. And these 6 amendments to this resolution, and we actually taken up. And when I came back home, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to report, actually, with the support of the legal department, we are drafting an amendment to our Trafficking Act, because in that act we never contemplated trafficking that happens around the orphanage. A lot of child trafficking is happening, and you will be amazed or shocked that part of happening is people will set up institutions in the name of helping. Institutions are being used to traffic children out of one country into another. So this is a conversation, and we have resolved that as the countries go back, one of the ways of strengthening, ensuring that we child trafficking is to strengthen our laws on orphanage trafficking. And in regard to that, as I had said earlier, I'm also hoping that both and the Senate can think of a way of coming up with committees that address science and technology in terms of on human rights as we move on. And I believe that as we continue to participate, we will be able to improve on legislation here. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I would like to make a plea that usually in the big assembly meetings of IPU, of the Commonwealth, of the Pan-African Parliament, I want to state that before the big meetings, we have technical issues are discussed. And usually we are not facilitated to participate in that. And you'll find now to the assembly, the countries whose membership have seriously participated in the technical sessions of the committees are well versed or better versed with the issues that they are presenting. That the Office of the Speaker consider that in some of these meetings that we will be able to facilitate members to participate in a few of the technical issues, particularly those that are drafting for the Assembly. I therefore wish to thank my colleagues for contributing to this motion, and I wish to ask that to request the Speaker to defer the putting of the question.
Thank you, Senator. This motion will be deferred to a later date. Next order. Sorry.
Order number 12. The report of the Kenya delegation to the extraordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament held at the Gallagher Convention Center, Midrand, South Africa from 20th to 27th March 2024.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to move. This will be a very brief one. The Honorable Catherine Muma to second me. Mr. Speaker, we had the session of the Pan-African Parliament in South Africa. Mr. Speaker, is an important parliament because that is where all African nations come together to discuss the issues that affect Africa. Mr. Speaker, previously, those presidents who held a vision to bring Africa together and create a united Africa, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and the likes of many of these presidents who they wanted to create a government, a system that would enable consultations at government levels. Mr. Speaker, once the governments agreed to have another body where the peoples of Africa can be seated together to discuss on behalf of the representatives of the people. So then a parliament was there. We are, the Pan-African Parliament. So Speaker, I head that delegation, but members of the delegation include our own Senator Professor Margaret Kamar. Also from the National Assembly, we have Joseph Kalasinga Majimbo and Rehab Mukami. So the five of us, like all other nations, the 55 countries of Africa, we sent 5 people there. Mr. Speaker, the delegation participated in an election. This was an extraordinary meeting which was called so that we can have an election. And Mr. Speaker, so that the country can know what happens. In Pan-African Parliament, we follow the African Union parliamentary, the African Union principle of rotation, so that if the president of the Union, of the Pan-African Parliament comes, in the next time it is the Eastern, in the next time it is the Northern, and we go on rotating like that. So these elections were done, and Mr. Speaker, it was a successful election. It brought order to the Parliament of Africa, and Mr. Speaker, it is good to note that the new committee elected, which we call the Bureau there, is President Honorable Chief Fortune Zephania Charumbira, the first Vice President Masuda Mohamed Lakdaf, the second Vice President was Honorable Ashabir Wale Georges Gayo, and the third Vice President was Honorable Lucia Dos Passos. Fourth Vice President was Honorable Jija Mahat. So, Mr. Speaker, it was a brief session, and there were some issues that made the Parliament not to work for some time. Those issues were resolved, and Pan-African Parliament was able to move forward. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the entire delegation that we went very well, and we made sure that Kenya was well represented during these campaigns and even during these elections in every part. Mr. Speaker, before I sit, it's important to say the following, that we had an important engagement with our High Commission in South Africa. And Mr. Speaker, the High Commission in South Africa has expressed its desire that we make it clear that Kenya and South Africa have had a long relationship. Since when South Africa got its independence, or its normal, its first democratically elected president in 1994, we've had good relationship with comes to trade. The message is that we are still having a very unfavorable balance of trade between the two nations. South Africa, although Kenya is a big economy, but South Africa is importing high value items, like they have a BMW factory there. So when they sell these things, all our agricultural and whatever products, they measure little as against the value that they send to this country. So it is time that Kenyans, from the High Commission, it is time that Kenyans take up opportunities that are being provided in South Africa. We have signed a bilateral that allowed favorable trade so that Kenyans who are going to South Africa to do business are never disturbed. And Kenya also took the opportunity to not to require visas, just like now we don't require when we go to South Africa. South Africa followed it. So we have opportunities for those who think they can make a life to go there. So aside from the Pan-African meeting that we did, we the High Commission and the High Commission has asked us to encourage our people to also look at opportunities down in South Africa. With those very, I know I had asked the Honorable Catherine Muma to second, but I have seen, yeah? Okay, so I will then ask Honorable Muma to second the motion. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion on the report of the Kenya delegation to the extraordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament held at the Gallagher Convention Center, Midrand, South Africa, 27th March 2024. Mr. Speaker, as I have said in the earlier conversation, these meetings are very, very important, and they add to expanding our knowledge as parliamentarians with the ideas that can help us to inject a newness and inject innovation, drawing from what other parliaments are doing around the world. The Pan-African Parliament in particular, Mr. Speaker, is one do a lot more, and even as colleagues participate in this forum, I wish to urge them to help to bring the conversation of expanding trade in Africa a lot more. Mr. Speaker, it is strange that some West African countries have, before they come back to East Africa. It is strange that a number of countries in Africa get simple food products all imported from Europe, when, Mr. Speaker, I think the food produce that Honorable Munga is plenty on the African continent, and if we open the routings, trade routings across Africa and amongst the African countries, Mr. Speaker, we will actually enrich our continent much. I would want to request that our colleagues on Pan-African, on the Pan-African, steer the conversation and spearhead a conversation that can actually see an open. We are trading with each other more, and we are focusing a lot on intra-Africa, the opening up trade elsewhere. I therefore second, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate notes the report of the Kenya delegation to the extraordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament held at the Centre, Midrand, South Africa, from 20th to 27th March 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 24. Senator Margaret Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, the opportunity to support on the report from the Pan-African Parliament, as has been mentioned by our chair and our very the delegation, the Honorable Mugatana. I am a member of this delegation, Mr. Speaker. I really appreciate
This September, as Optiven celebrates 25 years of inspiring possibilities, we are celebrating
It is out of the coming together of the African nations we can realize the real development of the continent. As was mentioned by the Honorable Senator Catherine Muma, it surprises you that the closures, the boundaries that we have today have disadvantaged the continent more than it has destroyed neighborhoods. And at the moment, Mr. Speaker, we are at the point of discussing free trade area. You will notice, Mr. Speaker, that the boundaries, the borders in this continent were established by the colonialists themselves. So families were separated. And these boundaries are either roads or lakes. So they make absolutely no sense. And one very good example, Mr. Speaker, the river that divides Uganda and Kenya, which divided the Awori family. So our own former president in Kenya, Moody Awori, on the side of Kenya. And the time when he was in Kenya, we had a minister in Uganda called Agri Awori. His own one mother following one another in birth. But because the river divided their land, some were called Ugandans and others were called Kenyans. This is true for most neighbors along the boundaries in the continent of Africa. So as the heads of state are the unification as far as trade is concerned, to enable free movement of goods and free it is the thing that is going to develop the continent. Because this boundary issue is what has caused who were friends. It has created tension between people who didn't even know to have a name called a country. So, Mr. Speaker, I want the senators, very soon we are going to come to this House to request for ratification of the protocol on the African Free Trade Area after through for the continent. There are a number of protocols that we hope can be ratified soon. We have the Malobo that has not been ratified in this House. We have a number of other model laws that are developed by the Pan-African Parliament. In the Pan-African Parliament, of our projects is to develop model laws. Why model laws? We develop model laws because we are that we expect different countries to go and adopt. Now, when we was in the Pan-African Parliament, it is expected that every country will use the same model law to introduce amendments to their own laws so that we have some standards. And to mention just a few areas where we need standards, Mr. Speaker. We need standards in mining. Of mining and exploration can be the same. We know that Africa is very rich when it comes to, but because of the different approaches to mining, because of the different policies have been crafted in the different countries, it is very easy for one to mine in Uganda, sell in Kenya, different regime. And this becomes very, very dangerous because if it is easier to mine in Kenya and go and sell in Uganda, then the policy in Kenya and sell and does not allow you to sell in the same manner. It is very easy for one to use the policies and the rules to their own advantage and move to the next country to do the same. Mr. Speaker, I'm mentioning one of the things that is now coming up in the Pan-African Parliament is that there is need to add value, standard way of adding value, because we know that we have lost a lot as a continent, because we have not add value to the natural resources that we have. What is the implication? The implication is very cheaply as a continent, and we go back and import the same after added more expensively. So we are the original owners of the products, but then that has been added value more expensively. And that will make the continent remain very poor. A model law that has come on agriculture, which I hope, again, we'll be able to adopt, cause our own laws to be changed as a house. We are happy because Esther Passaris, who is a member of the Agriculture and Rural Development Committee, and she is going to table the model law and transmit it to this House. And once it comes to this House, we will use it to agriculture is dominantly devolved, and this is the House that should make decisions. So there are many other laws that are coming to do with trade. Mr. Speaker, I sit in the Trade Committee, and we are working on the issue of the free trade. We're really pushing hard to make sure that this continent becomes open. We know that we are within the agreement of the African free trade area. It is clear that when we have about 8 members having ratified, they are allowed to proceed. And the East African community to proceed with that. We know that currently we have the customs union. And again, even as we are working on that, one of the objectives of the African Union is to the regional economic blocks like the East African community further and be the role models when it comes to integration. And this is what we are going to as the East African region, using the model that has been successful in allowing trade between East African community so that we can spread out, because the East African region under the African Union countries, in fact, than what the East African community has. We have Ethiopia, we have islands, Madagascar, and Seychelles, and we need to expand African to move within the continent. One of we are looking at right now to enable is looking at the infrastructure. The infrastructure